Okay. I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7:05 with Cruz, Fikes, Nah, and Orozco present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. Pat?
The board met in closed session from 5:23 p.m. to 7 p.m. regarding conference with legal counsel existing and anticipated litigation, student discipline, conference with labor negotiators, ACT and CSEA, public employee discipline dismissal release, and public employee appointment, junior high school assistant principal, elementary school assistant principal, and high school assistant principal. The board voted to appoint Sally Jarvis Lube as assistant principal of Chino High School, effective date July 19, 2017, by a unanimous vote of 5-0. Voted to appoint Emily Lau as assistant principal of Butterfield Ranch Elementary School, effective date to be determined by a unanimous vote of 5-0. Voted to appoint Ophelia Verdugo as assistant principal of Magnolia Junior High School, effective date to be determined by a unanimous vote of 5-0. And voted to appoint Diana Escalante as principal of Marshall Elementary School, effective date July 3rd, 2017, by a unanimous vote of 5-0. No further action was taken, which requires public disclosure.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph?
Yes, I'd like to introduce the new assistant principal at Chino High School, Sally Jarvis.
All right.
Hello. I'm Sally Jarvis Luby, and thank you so much for having me, and I'm very excited. I am coming from Walnut Valley, and I live locally in Chino Hills, so I'm excited to be here, Chino Valley at Chino High School. I'm wearing my blue.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Diana Escalante, the new principal at Marshall Elementary School.
Good evening, school board members, Superintendent Mr. Wayne Joseph, and Cabinet. First of all, I just want to say thank you for this amazing privilege to be principal of E.J. Marshall. I don't take it lightly, and I look forward to working alongside our school and community to continue serving our students. So thank you.
Did I miss anyone, Leah? Okay.
All right. Well, if you would please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Ready, begin. Thank you. We are now at comments from employee representatives. Danny? So CSEA has nothing. Todd? ACT? Todd Hancock. Like your tie.
For those of you that know me a little bit, I just want to let you know that I have a full Windsor on my knot. That's a big inside joke, but it's funny. All right, just a couple of quotes, and then this next quote is kind of where I'm at right now in what's going on. Is given to me very long time ago in high school by a friend. It says, "The past depresses me, the future scares me, and the present confuses me." I'm kind of in that realm of what's next. I do tell you, I did pick up a laptop today, so I felt really important. And those who don't know that I have stepped down as ACT president, and we've had an election. And I want to introduce that, although he can't be here tonight, it's kind of part of why he asked me to be here, Steve Ball will be the new ACT president. And we're very excited about that. I've spent all week with him this week, several hours in transition, and it's going to be a very positive move for ACT and for our district. And I'm very proud of Steve and what he has accomplished and what he's willing to do is coming forward and being the ACT president. And let everybody know that he has my support. Not only did he have my vote, but he had my support, and I will be there very quietly waiting if he needs to, anything he might need to help. Another little quote, and if you know me, I've given quotes over the years. I remember my first speech, I think I gave 6 quotes in my first speech ever, so I'll end with part of this. I never make the same mistake twice. I make it like 5 or 6 times just to make sure. Also, I want to recognize we're going to be celebrating July 4th next week, i.e. the tie. But sometimes we kind of worry about our hamburgers and hot dogs and our fireworks that happen. But in reality, a lot of things happen to bring us to independence. Our founding fathers gave a lot of sweat and blood so that we could have the privilege of sitting here as a school district, having the freedom in which we enjoy. Plus of all, if you think about it, as a history teacher, we often talk about 2 world wars, but when we teach history, there have actually been 9 world wars in history. There's been a lot of blood, sacrifice, dedication by families, individuals, so that we can maintain our freedom that we have today. So I hope on this 4th of July you have a lot of family time, some opportunities to build memories with your family, but let's also remember what brought us here, what got us here, the cost that was given here, and the big responsibility we have to take it forward to not only in our generation, but the next generation as well. Thanks again, everybody, for the great support. Our meetings and stuff that we've had, the talks, the disagreements, the agreements, all that goes on. It has been fun. Hopefully, I've learned a lot, and we'll be able to put it back to work in the classroom and be able to help our students feel the care that I have for them, but also that they'll be successful in their lives and open the doors of opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yvette Farley, is she here? Okay. Okay, so we are now at community liaisons. So Chino City, Cynthia Moran, no. Mike Krieger. I'm trying to see if I see anyone. No, I don't see anyone. Okay, so let's move on. Let me get back on my script. Okay, so we're now at comments from the audience on items not on the agenda.
None.
Oh, yay. Okay, so we're moving on to a discussion item.
Changes and deletions.
I'm sorry, changes and deletions.
We are now at changes and deletions. The following changes or deletions on the agenda are facilities planning and operations, item 4D2, agreements for contractor consultant services, page 74, delete contracts CIIS 1718-034 Anthony M. Cummings Educational Consultants, LLC, and CIIS 1718-36 California State Polytechnic University, and page 75 under HR 1718-002 All City Management Services, Inc., Chino Consortium, correct the contract amount to read $300,017,639.25.
Okay, going on, we are now at the discussion item. Pat, would you please announce the item?
Item 2A1, superintendent search options.
Okay, and that's going to be to recommend the Board of Education discuss superintendent search options. And actually what this is actually an information item, but I brought it forward as discussion in the event that board members had any questions or comments. But I do want to remind everyone, board members, that this is solely a discussion item. We're not going to take action, and that if we have public comments, we'll hear them first. Are there any public comments?
Nothing.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion and a second just to place it on the floor to discuss. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So Mr. Nah makes the motion and Mr. Cruz seconds. So let me introduce the item. So what it is that we're going to have, I'm going to ask Pat to gather information regarding the different options that are available to the board. And it's going to include CSBA, we could go through private firms, we could go through the superintendent of schools, the board can do its own search or simply do interviews and appointment. So all the information will be gathered and then presented to the board probably at our next meeting. And then thereafter, we'll have it agendized so that we could discuss and decide which way we want to go. So with that, and let me see, any lights? Okay. Okay, so, board members, no questions or comments? All right, good. Moving on, we're now at action items. Pat?
Item 3A1, 2017-2018 Local Control Accountability Plan.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education adopt the 2017-2018 Local Control and Accountability Plan. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Na makes a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
And Mr. Cruz seconds. Are there questions or comments? Did you have one? Oh.
No, I just wanted to make sure it was on.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next item, please.
3B1 Adoption of the 2017-2018 Budget.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education adopt the 2017-2018 budget for all funds and authorize the superintendent or designee to sign the 2017-2018 district certification of budget adoption. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Na makes a motion, Mrs. Fikes seconds. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We're now at consent items. Pat, are there any speakers on consent items?
None.
Okay, so, board members, if you just give me a minute so I could get to my page and write them down. Okay, board members, do you have any polls? Mr. Cruz?
No pulls.
Mrs. Fikes?
Yes. 4D2, page 73, 74.
4D2, page 73, 74. And Mr. Na?
I have no pulls.
And I'm going to go ahead and pull 4C4, page 56. Okay, for all others, may I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second? Mr. Na makes a motion, Mr. Cruz seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Were you an aye?
Yes, sorry.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay, Mrs. Fikes, we can start with yours. Item 4D2, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Na makes the motion, Mr. Cruz second, and we are at 4D2.
So for the board, if you'll look at page 73, 74, we have contracts to provide speech therapy in our district with 9 different agencies, and the total amount of the contracts are $4,503,000. That's of grave concern to me because those contracts can go for pretty much any amount of money, and we could be hiring our own therapists to work for the district. I get it that there's a shortage of speech therapists, but my concern that using this venue to cover our need is going to just continue to be more and more expensive, and there'll be more and more things that we choose this as our stopgap. So my hope would be that we could, of course, we have to approve this for next year. We're not in a position to not approve this, but that we could do some kind of study or some kind of joint effort between human services and special education to see what we could come up with so that we can attract our own folks and get out of this consultant's bill, because that's a huge amount of money, and we have no control over that. And we have really no control over those employees. So I'm hoping that we can move forward on that.
Point well taken, Mrs. Fikes. And, you know, other districts have stipends that they offer. And we've talked to the union about that. We haven't gotten anywhere yet, but we're still talking to them about that kind of thing, because you need to attract people. And when they can make a lot more money outside the district than coming here, we need to attract these speech therapists. Leah, did you want to mention anything?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have started this study to look at other districts and what they offer, the incentives along with their salary. So we will do a comprehensive study and then present it to the board.
That'd be great. I mean, even if we start with paid interns, or slip us as an assist with some of our needs. That could be helpful. And I see that in private industry as well as in school districts. So, thank you.
And I agree wholeheartedly, because I think the issue was brought forward when it first started happening, and we inquired about what could be done, and then that's when,
And we can see that it's a huge problem. That's why we have 9 agencies that we're contracting with. We can't even have a single agency take care of our need. So we've got a problem here.
right? I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, the next one is item 4C4, page 56. May I have
So
a
moved.
motion?
Second?
Mr. Knopf makes a motion.
Second.
I'm sorry?
Two cases?
No.
4D2 is one that we just did. And then I'm asking for a motion for 4C4.
C4.
And
Attendance calendar.
that's the calendar.
Calendar.
Okay, so I know someone made a motion.
And
Okay,
we both seconded. It's all
okay,
right.
so we'll go with Mrs. Fikes first and second, Mr. Cruz. Okay, so this is the calendar, and there was discussion at the last meeting, and the only reason that I'm pulling it is because Mrs. Blair had requested inquiry from staff on what the difference was in the utilities from last year. So, Mr. Statura, could you just please touch upon the issues in trying to compare?
Sure. The questions and concerns that came up regarding the attendance calendar, and that school is starting earlier and earlier every year in August rather than after Labor Day. And the concern was how hot it is in August versus how hot it is in September. And I did a little research and went back 10 years and looked at temperatures in August and September, as well as May and June, dating back to the 2006-2007 school year. And then also compared, basically I averaged the temperatures for each month and looked at whether or not August was hotter than September, and if it was, how much, or if it was cooler than September, and if it was, how much. And then additionally, I also looked at the end of school dates, that if we were to start school anywhere from a week to 2 weeks later and start in September rather than August, that would push the end date further into June. So I looked at those temperatures as well. So basically, for the most part, August is a little bit hotter than September, but on average, it's not that much. And in fact, there was a couple years where August was cooler than September, and it ranged on the years where August was cooler. It was anywhere from 0.3 of a degree cooler than September to a degree and a half cooler. And then in the months where August was hotter, it ranged anywhere from 0.6 of a degree hotter to the largest difference was this last August, where August was 3.9 degrees hotter than September.
And I think one of the main things that they wanted to know was the difference in cost for
Yes.
utilities, but
Yes.
you ran across some
And that is the other part.
apples and oranges.
That is the other part of the puzzle here. It's, in looking at electricity costs for air conditioning and everything else that goes on, it is hard to come up with an apples-to-apples comparison of August versus September for a variety of reasons. We've been doing a lot of energy conservation type construction work at all of our school sites, from putting on cool roofs, where basically the roofing material has changed from a reflective coating that's silver, or the tans in some cases that we've had over the years. Per Title 24, now we're required to go with a white roof, so all of our rooftops are now white. So that results in a cooler roof, and in turn, that saves electricity costs with air conditioning. You've got the variable of weather, which I've kind of already gone over. District-wide, we are embarking on, in our energy conservation efforts and changing out lighting to LED. So that's another cost savings for electricity. We've recently completed all of our first phase of solar covers, and that has resulted in less electricity. HVAC units, we've been replacing HVAC units every summer since I can recall, with higher efficiency units, which results in lower electricity use. And then the other variable is the cost of electricity. That has gone up every year, anywhere from a few percent to 10% per year. So it is very difficult to say, this is what it costs to run the air conditioners in August, and this is what it costs to run them in September.
later.
So it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Thank you. Mrs. Fikes?
I'm not really interested in a comparison between August and September. I'm interested in a comparison between August and June. Because if we are in school in August, then we're not in school in June. But if we're in school in June, we're not in school in August. And so, I think we all know it's cooler in June.
And so,
Yes? I mean, you have the statistics, right?
Cooler in June than it is in August?
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
So, I went back to look at the tape, and I noticed, or I heard that comment. I hadn't heard it that night. I guess it kind of went over me. So, what you said was that we were trading August for June. So we're talking about 2 weeks. 2 weeks in June versus 2 weeks in August. And that part just kind of slipped by me, because I know I kept referring to September, which in September has very hot days. And so I guess the reason that I support the calendar, and it might be 2-week difference, hotter in August versus June. So I'll share what I shared some time ago, and I'll share it again. I know you asked Mrs. Fikes the benefit for TK through 9. So I would say, what is the negative impact for TK through 9? That I don't know. I don't know if you can offer, but
Well,
other than the weather.
yeah, I think the parents could offer the negative benefit
Well, so let me share.
or the negative consequence.
So
for
let me share. We have Cal Aero, which is year round, and so that's going to happen regardless.
Right.
And at one time, all of our district was year round. I know because my kids were year round. And so here are some of the reasons that I support the earlier schedule. When it comes to cost, we incur costs for the benefit of all our students. For example, we eliminated combo classes, yet that didn't benefit the secondary, but it was good for the elementary. We have programs that do not benefit the entire population. For instance, we have AVID and ROP, which doesn't benefit the entire population, but it does benefit students. We talked about sports and having them practice in the heat. Well, I happen to know that in sports, they adjust their practices to either early morning or late afternoon. And in addition to that, many sports play year-round anyway. Another positive is that the schedules coordinate with the neighboring districts. So we're off when they're off, so we're not having to be on break and then go to games because they're in school. I actually pulled some notes from my prior, because a couple years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, prior to you being on the board, this discussion had come up again. And some of my notes that I had was students completing their first semester prior to break, the winter break. This prevents the need to review with students upon their return in January. So it was beneficial in that you were completing all your first semester prior, and rather than having to come back after break, take up instructional time, and probably not take your finals till close to February. You have a benefit of the advanced placement exams. You have the benefit of the college application deadlines, the transcripts, ROP and our partnering districts. So I see more benefits instructionally than I do negatives with the heat. And so that's why I support the earlier calendar. Is it an inconvenience for adults and staff? Probably, But I've always said, I'm because of the kids, and so if kids benefit, I'm good. So the other part is, even though it may not benefit our elementary students today, it's going to benefit them when they get into the high school, the secondary. And so I just think that we need to consider and always do what's best interest for the children. That's why I support it.
And so I would respectfully say that what you think is best for the children, I don't think is best for the children, and I base that on 41 years in education, working as a teacher and a principal myself. I don't think that the advantages for the high school students, even when you talk about AP advantages, that's the primary advantage. We don't have all of our high school students enrolled in AP classes. It is still not even half of our students enrolled in those classes. And the disadvantage in terms of difficulty for concentration, difficulty for so many difficulties with the extreme heat in August and September, I just can't support it. And I don't think it's good for kids. It's not because it's about me. I'm retired. It's not about me. It's what I see as being good for children.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, Dr. Enfield, the earlier schedule allowed us to leave before vacation for the first semester to end before vacation. Because I remember in the past, it used to continue in January. But that was one of the purpose, to have an early schedule for it to finish before Christmas vacation.
Yeah, I believe that was part of it, that at the high school level, all the 9th through 12th grade would take all their finals for the first semester, and then they would go on winter break, and then they come back after in January and start their second semester of courses. Under the old system, they would take their finals, as Mrs. Orozco pointed out, somewhere in late January, almost beginning of February.
And also, another decision was because of those tests during May. That was one of the reasons to have it early.
That was, I believe, some of the decision behind that was for some of the APs, but I think it was mostly to have school year finished early for the seniors who are going on to college for getting transcripts and getting all those requirements out to the schools.
Oh, and I forgot about transcripts. I had you help a student one time
Right.
because of transcripts.
And I want to add a little light touch here, Mrs. Fikes. For 6 years, I went to the calendar committee almost every year. And when Justine Cunningham was ACT president, Todd ACT president, and as an ex-high school principal here in another district, I'm trying to convince them, right, to change the calendar. They humored me. They said, oh, yeah, Mr. Joseph, and then they voted to keep the calendar where it was. So I didn't go the last couple of years, and they changed the calendar, which says to me I better stay away if I want to get something done. So the calendar is as it is now.
So thank you for staying away.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Na?
Yeah, when we mention about transcripts and sending our students to college, I see many of parents there nodding your heads. And this is the same reason why you guys are here, so thank you.
We are now, I'm sorry, we moved and we second. We need to vote on it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-1. Okay, we are now at information items. Are there any questions or comments on information items? All right. So we are going to go ahead and do board comments, then I will close the meeting. Then I have to reopen it for the closed session, correct?
You adjourned into closed session.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do board comments, and then we'll do the rest of the speakers, and then adjourn to closed session. So board comments, Mr. Cruz.
Okay. I'll make it very short and brief. The kids were fantastic, the speakers, very eloquent in speaking. There was an article, June 27th, and this caught my attention. I'm going to be very brief. And Judge Cohen appeared torn about whether Chino Valley Unified officials had properly considered Oxford academic performance. That caught my attention. Also caught my attention about objectivity versus subjectivity, a lot of that. So what really matters? A rainbow after the storm, working together, redemption, mercy, courage, compassion, academic thriving, haven, teamwork, fairness, and giving us a chance. I really believe that there's going to be a rainbow after all this. And the 4th of July is really about us and our children. This country with its institutions and belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional rights of amending it or exercising their revolutionary rights to overthrow it. Abraham Lincoln. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mr. Na.
Our longtime resident, Rosalinda Hernandez, just passed away on the 16th. She had been a grandparent and also parent of Glen Mead and our high school students. So I'd like to adjourn this meeting in remembrance of her. And 4th of July and miracles. I think we could taste that miracles today because I see students spoke tonight with their greatest passion. It's not something they have been instructed or pushed. I could see that they're coming from their own hearts. As a parent, what can we do? As an adult, over 18 years old, what can we do? And I appreciate you guys being here, for standing up for what you believe. And this is what this country is made of. The hope and upgrades. And we have been upgrading with our thoughts and our culture. And through difficult times and trials and tribulations, it brings good people together. And I believe you guys are all good people here tonight. And I really believe in miracles. And that's what I need to fight for. And I would ask others to join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Na. Mrs. Fikes.
In the past 2 weeks, Mr. Na and I were both at the Boys Republic graduation. Got to see the students there advance from being students to taking their place in society. It's a very inspirational, fabulous experience. Wish all of those boys luck and thank our staff at that school for working with this population. Also, I was on campus at Rhodes for the opening of summer school. Wow, what a lot of students we have there, and what a lot of work was done by Lynn Haney, who's the summer school principal and the assistant principal at Rhodes during the traditional academic year. So they're off to the races and being successful in that particular program. With that, I wish you all a happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. Mr. Joseph.
Well, the 2017-18 school year starts Thursday, July 6th for 3 tracks of elementary students on the year-round schedule at Cal Aero Preserve Academy. Our 4th elementary track begins the new year on Monday, July 31st. Welcome back, and we wish you a successful year ahead. Also, I want to mention that Mrs. Blair was not feeling well and therefore did not come back after closed session. Ms. Orozco.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. I'm going to go ahead and forego my comments so that we can hear speakers. Now we'll adjourn into closed session.
Karen Kabandama, followed by Franklin Peck, second, and Miriam Preciado.
Hello, I am an OPA parent here one more time, asking that you please do something for us. You as the decision makers have the power to do it, so please do it. As I mentioned before, we've been at OPA since the very beginning. We love our school, and we deserve a second chance. It is an inconvenience to have to move our students to other schools. It has been affecting them emotionally, dealing with the stress of the unknown. It's not healthy for them. Our school is a necessity. In my case, if you ask my kids what school will they be attending to next year, they won't know what to answer. And I would like for you to ask them how they feel about that. You, the board, know that the most important job of the school district is to make sure students are learning and achieving at high levels. Our students are already at that level. We have a great learning environment. We have the most amazing teachers and staff. I understand OPA is not for everyone, but this is what we chose for our kids. And as a parent, I will do anything or everything for my children to receive the best education. We are not just a group of stubborn parents who don't understand the situation. We do, but we are also the managers of the world's greatest resource, our children. Once again, I'm asking you to work with us. Please don't walk away knowing that there's 1,200 students who need your help. Don't walk away knowing that you could have done something, but you chose not to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Franklin Peck, the second, followed by Miriam Preciado, followed by Heather Perry.
Good evening. Good evening, President Roscoe, distinguished board, and Superintendent Joseph. I honestly, sincerely thank you for your time today to be able to introduce my family. I got my beautiful wife, Heather, here. Say hi, Heather. Noah, Xander, and Amber. I got another one, too. These are all four of my kids. And all four of my kids last year went to OPA. I can honestly say that at the end of the day, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my children. As I'm sure each of you, you wake up every morning, you think, why do I work so hard, and why do I do what I do on a daily basis? And we do it for our kids. And I loved what Mr. Cruz and Ms. Spikes and Roscoe and Na, you guys all said, and I don't know that I need to say any more than that other than it's for the kids. I understand, and the kids don't understand that there are things behind the scenes that have to be done. There's got to be finances in order. There's got to be an accountability. This is public funds. We tell our kids too at the end of the day we set ourselves at a higher standard. We should hold ourselves accountable, and that's what we're doing. But is there any one of you realistically at the end of the day that could tell me that closing OPA is the best thing for our children? Is there any one of you can look at me and say this is the best thing for our kids? Closing the school is definitely what these kids need. All 1,200 of them. I don't think there's any one of you who can look me in the eye and tell me this is the best thing for my children. I want the best thing for my kids. I know you guys do too. And that's why you're here. You're here to help us make decisions for us. But we elected you guys to help us make the best decisions for our children. My wife and I grew up in Walnut. We're high school sweethearts. We went to Walnut High School. Recently, Walnut was voted #1 school district in California, according to the U.S. News and World Report. I happen to like Chino. Okay, that be said. Couldn't believe we moved to Chino. It was Cowtown growing up. It was just a temporary stop. We were going back. But at the end of the day, this is home. We realized how much we love this place. And how much when we found OPA, we felt like it was just a blessing. We didn't want to leave. We don't want to leave. I look at my son Noah here. He doesn't even have a school to go to at this moment. My other kids go to Howard Cattle. My son doesn't have a school to go to. I don't understand that. I understand, like I said, there's accountability. It's got to be done. And Mr. Joseph, you and I had a talk a couple months ago, and you told me there are liability issues, there are financial issues. I get it. That makes complete sense. And I agree with you. You can't support something that isn't going to make it. But since then, things have changed. So much change has happened. And you told me, you said, if we knew the liability of it, I can get behind OPA. And guess what? We know the liability of it. We know exactly what's going to happen financially with OPA. We know that it's headed for success. According to Education Code 47604C, it says that an entity that grants a charter to a charter school operated by or as nonprofit public benefit or corporation shall not be liable for the debts and obligations of the charter school or for claims arising for the performance or acts, errors, or omissions by the charter school. And we know that nothing's going to happen to OPA with the IRS. So I can't see any reason why we couldn't reapprove it. You know, the kids don't care about the semantics. Renewal petition, renewal petition. They don't care about that kind of stuff. I know that you guys do. So I ask you to keep your word. Get behind OPA. I ask you guys to open your hearts and work with our school and allow us to stay open another year, 2 years, whatever it is. We would appreciate it. That's the best. what's the
Sorry,
best
your
interest of our
time is
kids.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miriam Preciado, followed by Heather Perry, followed by Paula Ramirez.
Good evening, board members. My name is Miriam Preciado Gomez. My family couldn't be here today. I have 3 children at OPA. My husband is working. We're self-employed, and my kids are at sports. I've been a Chino resident for 26 years. My father decided to move us to Chino to take us out of a bad neighborhood in Los Angeles. I'm a graduate from Don Lugo High School. I was a good student and made my best effort to get good grades and be normal or try to fit in. I say this because I have seen at OPA, you do not have to make efforts to do good, but to be exceptional. My children have been exceptional at OPA. They have learned so much. They have learned OPA is more than just a school, it's their family. As a parent now, I understand my father's decision to move to Chino. I am forever grateful to him because now I can raise my children in an excellent city like Chino, where everything grows, and who's been named 100 best communities for young people. My oldest son, Sebastian, is 13, who is now a 9th grader. Alexia, who is now a 7th grader, she's 11, and Aaron, who is 8 years old and now is a 3rd grader. Aaron has been attending OPA since kindergarten. Teachers and staff have been excellent at OPA. Aaron has high-risk asthma, and every time he had a flare-up, his teachers made it so easy to handle his condition. It was about Aaron first, not so much about how many days he was going to be gone. Alexia attended Howard Cattle, and Sebastian attended Anna Borba and Howard Cattle. When they both began at OPA, they were not at grade level. OPA has helped them meet their grade levels. Aaron, with 3 years of OPA, is already advanced in his grade level. I enrolled Alexia and Sebastian at OPA, and they both got accepted. They were both very upset with me, just like I was with my dad when he made the decision to move us. After these 2 years at OPA, they have been taught a different way of learning, and now they thank me, just like I did to my father. Sebastian will be attending Oyala High School and is very happy. Alexia is suffering with anxiety, and I cannot fathom the idea to have them settle for a lower grade or a lower scored school. Cattle is a 6 out of 10. Magnolia is a 5 out of 10. I leave you with this from CP Lillian Carranza. LAPD, you cannot allow the actions of a few, reflect on the entire post or the entire police department. And this was due to
I'm
a
sorry, your time
LAPD
is
cadet
up.
scandal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Perry, followed by Paula Ramirez, followed by Veronica Velasco.
Good evening, board. I have 2 kids that attended Oxford Preparatory Academy, and they have amazing stories. My son was in 6th grade this past year, and he went to 3 different schools, and he went from me pulling him out of bed in his pajamas and making him go to school to basically not saying bye to me and rushing out of the car just to get to school. And he's just done amazing things, and his teachers just understood just how he needs to learn, and he doesn't deal with those issues anymore. I had an 8th grader over at Canyon Hills where the school is excellent, but she just had some junior high things that had happened, and we pulled her out in the middle of 8th grade and took her to Oxford, and she was upset with us and angry with us. And just for 5 months being there, she's just told me how she thanked me, how thank you for moving me to the school. I have twice as many friends here as I did at Canyon Hills, and I wish I went here longer. And that's just to say how amazing the culture is there and everything, and not to take anything away from any other schools, but it just shows you what goes on at OPA. Their teachers jumped into action, threw her a personal pizza party just to welcome her, assigned people to her. One of those people became one of her best friends, and amazing. I knew they would jump into action like that. So I'm just really asking that we could just unite and just help us, please. I really hope that we see that rainbow that Mr. Cruz was talking about, but I just can go on and on about the incredible stories, and like you've seen here, but just really, really asking for your help. This is an incredible school with an incredible culture. Like, you just have to be there to just know how it is. And like, we've only been there for a year, and it's so home. So I'm very grateful that I had a choice to pull my 8th grader out when she needed it, and there was a place for her to go to. And I'll say it again, it had nothing to do with the school. I had a choice to take her, and she's going to be going to Ayala. She's excited. She's got her friends. She's starting out on the right foot, and it's amazing. So I'm just mainly here to ask you to please, 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 please help all of us. We would be so grateful if you can help us to keep this school open. The staff has worked tirelessly, and I know that it's not for nothing. It's not just for them to keep their jobs or just to fill their time. This is a special place. So please help us. We'd be so grateful. Just please help us keep this school open. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Paula Ramirez, followed by Veronica Velasco, followed by Alicia Hedrick.
Hi, good evening, Board and President Orozco. I did not prepare anything here, but this is coming from the heart. I just want to thank you guys, especially for even considering it several years ago in opening OPA. Because of that, my wonderful children got the opportunity to experience the culture and just the beauty of it as a community. We're not even a school, we're a family. And it's hard to see a family break apart. And that's why we've been so heartbroken. It's because we are a family unit, and family units stick together. Ohana. My kids just watch Stitch, and that's all we kept hearing is families stick together. We don't break apart. And even through the turmoil and everything that we've gone through for almost 2 years, it's just bonded us stronger together. And that's why we are here as stubborn parents who keep fighting for this, because we think it's right, and we know it's right, and we believe in our heart that it's right. We're driven. We're driven to keep fighting for what is right, and that's for our children. You have been given these seats because of your heart for children, your heart for education, and combining the two of them together, it's just unstoppable. These children are our future. And, we're not saying that OPA is better. It's just different. And what our choices as parents, we do have parent choice. And we get to choose either homeschooling, private schooling, public schooling, charter schooling. It's a choice. And if you take one of those choices away, it just eliminates one more choice for us parents to have for our kids. It's a privilege. And for us parents to have a choice for our children, it's our God-given choice. God has given us this choice to raise our children and to train them up in what is right. And this is why we fight for this, because we know we are training them up in what is right. And so I implore you, each and every one of you, to please do what is right for our kids, all 1,200 of them. I don't just have 2 children. I have 1,200 children. They're every single one of them. When we step foot into campus, we don't just let go of the number of children that we have on our own. We let go of all the kids there. And when you go into our campus, you get to stay. We don't get rushed out to leave. And we mingle all the time. We kind of just linger around the school campus, and we're invited to do so. We're given cups of coffee to linger by Mr. Bridges, our dean, and Mr. Crow's always yelling at us too. He just does that, and it's happy. It's great. The kids love it. He screams out my kids' names all the time, and my children love that. They love it so much, and so I just implore each and every one of you, in your hearts, please do what is right for my 1,200 kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Veronica Velasco, followed by Alicia Hedrick, followed by Caitlin Welsh.
Good evening, Board. Mr. Wayne Joseph. My name is Veronica. And we have, this is my son Ricardo, and he's going to be going into 7th grade, and I'm sorry. I have a son that's going to be going into 3rd, and we've been at OPA for 6 years. And prior to OPA, I really did not have a school choice. I did lived in another community where there was not a very good schools, and I made the choice to go to Chino. I'm a Don Local graduate. My parents moved me here for the same reason, to have a better schooling, and I'm very grateful as well. And brought my son in and started. We didn't get our school choice that we wanted. We didn't, but he thrived in his kindergarten. He had an excellent kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Tran. And but we found out about OPA, went to the meeting, and I was just really blown away at everything I've ever envisioned in a school was there. And I would try to get him in, and I didn't. I wasn't able. The lottery wasn't able to get in. But I did have a choice. And it wasn't an easy choice, but I took the choice to homeschool my son for a year while I attended graduate school and while I worked part-time and had a baby, a 2-year-old. So it's the most difficult year of my life, but he was worth it. And after a year and a half to 2 years, he got in full-time at OPA. And I want to say that year he got the summa cum laude award. So with all the help, Mrs. Hobbs, I can just name all the teachers. They were just there to support us. And for us that homeschooled our kids to get them in, it's really, really devastating to hear that you're going to go to school because you have no idea how hard. But that was a choice. And I was grateful for that choice, as hard as it was, that I could get them in. And I want to keep it brief, really. I just want to echo what everyone has said here. It's from the heart. And I may not know all the parents and the staff by name or all their faces, but I know their kids' faces, and they are my OPA family. And you right now are in a unique position to be our hero, to really just put the best, I love that you said that, the best interest, because that's all this whole year has been such a roller coaster of emotions, but that's always been at the forefront. Just what is in the best interest of the kids, that's it. And I think they deserve to be heard, and please just, that's it, put the best interest of the children above all. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Alicia Hedrick, followed by Caitlin Welsh, followed by Lauren Odo.
Hi, good evening. Somebody mentioned Mr. Crow and how awesome him and Mr. Bridges are. And I'm crying. I'm not even going to be able to read what I wrote. Because Mr. Crow is outside right now, giving feedback rights to our children. That's the kind of man he is. Mr. Crow and Mr. Bridges are just amazing. They are honestly the most amazing adults that I have ever seen work with children. They just love our children. They care about our children so much, and I'm heartbroken for myself. I'm being very selfish right now because I don't want to lose Mr. Crow and Mr. Bridges. But our children shouldn't have to lose them either. I mean, honestly, they are some of the best human beings with kids. So, if I have time, Sue Roach is gone. The administration is gone, and what we have now is an administrative team and board who have worked tirelessly to right her wrongs and turn things around for our school. Mr. Joseph, I've heard, has called us crazy, but that discredits the validity for the very things we fight so hard for every day. What he dismisses as insanity is actually our passionate resolve and determination to fight unremittingly for the things that matter the most to us in this world. Crazy doesn't even begin to touch on what we are. We as adults, especially those who hold power over the lives of others, have an obligation to do what is in the best interest of those we oversee. Adult issues should never become children's issues, and in regard to the children of OPA, they have been failed miserably in this regard. It is time that the adults in this fight take a step back and really absorb what exactly is at stake here and who is going to pay that price. This is a matter of what is before you here and now. The OPA of today is amazing and has gone leaps and bounds to rectify the transgressions of the previous administration. What we have now is an organization that is solid, that has a surplus of funds and over 1,200 innocent children that call it home and a place of refuge. Today I come to you with some pretty big expectations. I appreciate the motion that was made a couple weeks ago, but words are meaningless without actions to back them up. This can all end, like today, it can end now. And these children can be sent back out to enjoy the rest of their summers in peace, knowing that their school is safe. It only takes 3 people, and please do not show me that my faith in you has been misplaced. Andrew Jackson once said that it only takes 1 man with courage to make a majority, and we are in desperate need of that person now. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin Welsh, followed by Lauren Odo, followed by Lucia Marita.
Hi, good evening. You want to talk? Say hi. Can you say your name? His name is Cashton. He has attended OPA for 2 years. And I just want to I spoke with you guys last time, and I just want to touch base on basically our experience at OPA. When he first started, I initially asked them if I'm going to need to get an attorney to speak as an advocate for his IP, because that's what we're used to, unfortunately. Thank you. Jones to the rescue. And they kind of laughed and said, no, you won't need that. And we didn't. They had, hold on 1 second, let's not grab up. They had a picture of him on the table and said, we always want to see their face and not just a name. That is what OPA stands for. It's not just a name on a paper. They're not just students. They're kids. Their lives matter. Their education matters. When he lost his hair, I was so worried that the kids were going to make fun of him. And I remember a few of them asked, what happened to his hair? And he said, I got a haircut. And the next week, 2 little boys came with buzzed heads, so excited because they looked like Cash. And Mr. Bridges laughed and said all the cool kids have no hair. So Mr. Bridges has no hair. Over Christmas, he got really, really sick with a sepsis infection and was in the hospital for a while. And the school called and they checked in on him, and classmates wrote him cards and got him gifts, and we're a family. It's not just a classroom. It's not just where they learn. He's included as a typical kid. That's not an experience that he gets anywhere else. And you see all the emotions tonight, and it's not because we're uncomfortable with the unknown in the future. We're scared for our kids' future. Our kids deserve more than this. We're asking for you guys to please, one last chance, to please step up. You guys are talking about this rainbow and fighting for what we believe in. I think we all believe in our kids. You guys are up there wanting to fight for kids. Well, fight for us now. We're asking for you guys to fight for us now because our kids deserve it. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Lauren Odo, followed by Lucia Merida, followed by David Ramirez.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I will be starting 3rd grade in the fall. I'm here because I would like to tell you how I feel. I am very sad because my school might be closing tomorrow. I don't understand why we are being punished for something we had nothing to do with. My mom and dad have always told me that if you do something bad or don't listen, that there are consequences. But I'm confused because we didn't do anything wrong, and the kids are the ones who are getting punished by our school getting taken away from us. Why are we getting punished? I'm not enjoying my summer because I miss my friends and teachers, and I don't know if I'll ever see them again. I wish someone would stand up and do the right thing for the kids and teachers at OPA, because all we want to do is go to school. I pray every night for a hero to come and save my school, and I'm asking you to be that hero for me and my friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucia Merida, followed by Merid Ramirez, followed by Imelda Ramirez.
Good evening, board members, superintendent. My name is Lucia Marita, and I apologize I didn't have an opportunity to prepare my comments for tonight, and I'm a little emotional after hearing the kids speak. I am the mother of what would be a 2nd and 1st grader at Oxford Preparatory Academy. For my family, Oxford Preparatory Academy is not a school. It is a blessing that came at a very critical time for my family. Let me explain. I am a child of immigrants. I grew up in a socioeconomically disadvantaged community. And so I knew as an adult I would position my children to have the best education possible. In preschool, I sent them to a highly academic preschool to prepare them so that when they entered public school, they would be very well prepared to succeed. I moved specifically to Chino Hills because I knew the options within the Chino Valley Unified School District. And I was very excited to learn that the school that was across the street from our home was a 10 out of 10 school. So my kindergartner started school there. And within 3 weeks, a child who loved learning, a child who had worked so hard to position for academic success, was having panic attacks, was being isolated in the classroom because he was done with his work so quickly. And so the classroom became more of a penal situation for him than a thriving love of learning situation. And I blamed myself. I thought I had done everything right to position my son for academic success. And instead, I had a child who was suffering from anxiety, who cried, who was throwing up because he didn't want to go to school in the morning. And I didn't know what to do, because here I was in this amazing school district with an amazing school, with a teacher everybody said was the teacher to get, and my child was not thriving in that experience. And I got an email that my child was eligible for the independent study program at Oxford Preparatory Academy. And like other families, I work full-time, and I looked at all of these things, and I had to make a choice. And I prayed very deeply of what was the right thing to do. And I took the spot in independent study with my kindergartner and worked it out, blood, sweat, and tears through his kindergarten year to do it. It took 6 months for my son to raise his hand again in a classroom, but he did. And he's back to being the thriving kid who loves learning, who loves education, who loves to be at school, who runs away from me to get to his class, who loves his teachers, who loves his culture. I work in the corporate sector, and I've worked in leadership for a long time. And I know as a business leader, as in any kind of leader, what you look for is alignment and vision and creating
I'm
a
sorry,
culture.
your time is up.
where-
I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nareed Ramirez, followed by Imelda Ramirez, followed by Ann Jones.
I stay here, not you know how amazing my school. I stay here for you tell me, describing how it's OPA. I told you, OPA is a big family. I had 2010 to now. Every year is more strong. I had my kid, my daughter is outside, one's in university, and he told me, he said, I don't have the tool for OPA. Maybe it's hard. She has a scholarship, the 5 years. Another daughter is outside too. She passed to 12 years, high senior. Right now, in 2 weeks, she will go to U.S. to San Diego for 3 weeks and a half. And she told me, I don't know why, close the opportunity for my brothers. Miss Pamela, you working 21 years for
41
principal?
41 years.
For principal and teacher. Do you see before all the families working together for the best education for the kids? I never see it before. I made a resolution. My son Sebastian, he told me, Mom, we are crushed to the cast. We are studying so hard. My brother and I is advantage in the high scores in the cast. We are in the tracks, we are the champions. And we are going to concert choir to Disneyland, and we are winners. We are going to concert choir to Knoxbury Family, the winners. We are all making the best. Why they close the school? I don't know why I say, because they say we are the best school They understand is that some people made a trouble and made a big mess. And he thought, why don't these persons don't pay? Why we are the pay? Why the pay? Because if you close the school, if you don't help us, why we do it? I explained, maybe you go to another school, you independent study, I don't know. But remember, always we need to fight for what we want. Please reconsider. It's the wise way to change the opinion. Es de genios cambiar de opinión. Por favor, necesitamos que nos ayuden. No, yo no hablo muy bien inglés, pero hago mi mejor esfuerzo. Y pueden hablar con mis hijos y ver que realmente todos estamos trabajando y estamos en el mismo nivel. Gracias.
Gracias.
Imelda Ramirez? Imelda Ramirez? Okay, so Narid? It's coming.
Hi. So basically my story is similar since that was my mom. I went to a public school and learning there was kind of different from OPA. What happened was that my teachers were always absent. They were sick usually. I didn't get much learning, so my mom always made me go to summer school. And because of that, I was able to catch up on my learning, but my academics in English writing was pretty back. So when I got into OPA, I had this teacher who would always take extra time to help me write and just help me get my writing skills better. And because of her, I was able to improve my writing and my academics. Being there always helped me have a better understanding of different ways of learning, and it helped me grow as a person, and it helped me become someone who wanted more strive into her education. And when I got there, I was able to know about all different types of universities, and it brought my hopes up, and I really enjoyed it. Now my two little brothers are there, and they love the school. They're always at every meeting, and they just really enjoyed the school in general, and I'm really happy for that. But I would really like you guys to open your hearts to them, because they are still children, and they all really love that school as if it were part of their family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Jones, followed by Patricia Aguilar, followed by Margarita Casio.
Hello, everybody. The speeches were so good. I don't even know if I want to say my speech, but they were so great. And I don't think I could do what you do, because just off of the passion, I'm like, okay, what do you need? But anyway, so I am very sensitive. But I would love to do whatever it takes for all students to succeed. And so that's kind of what I wrote on. First of all, I want to say thank you for your dedication and your hard work, because until I walk in your shoes, I'm going to honor you. I don't think it's an easy task to try to make everybody happy. I think that's a very difficult task. As a credentialed teacher since 1994, I did vow under the California Credentialing Commission that I would advocate for all students. So when I go to any of your schools, I treat every student as they're mine. Every school like it's mine. I tell the principal, hey, this is great how you changed this. It looks so much better, and I love it, and because, we need those uplifting moments. We don't get those enough. But every student is I take that honor in my credential when I made that oath to California. So my homeschool is like 200 feet from my house, and I drive 20 minutes away, and I would love to sleep a little bit more and save gas, but Oxford is the right program for my family, okay? Because my homeschool didn't have the competitive resources that we get at OPA. But if OPA closes, I have the means for my family for those competitive resources. So really tonight, I'm here pleading for a lot of the other families that I see and that I know that can't afford these same competitive resources. I just was wondering if you're aware of, there are so many of our students that are getting tutoring at the next grade level. So they're in 6th grade, but they're already getting tutored after school in the 6th grade for the 7th grade. So without money, how do you compete with that? I don't know. Also, I love IXL.com. It's a brilliant resource. But if you don't have internet at home, how can we do that? Okay. There's 2 families in particular that have given to the community that have been split up. One gives to Chino Valley, the Chino Valley community, and the other one was our PTA president. And I would love for them to be able to be united with their families. Only half of them got to one lottery choice and the others didn't. Oh my gosh. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patricia Aguilar, followed by Margarita Cosio, followed by Kristen Crozy.
Good evening. I know I have a little bit of time. I try my best with my English. Myself, first, I wanna say good evening to everybody. My name is Patricia Aguilar, and I wanna share my story. I'm a mother of a student at OPA. My daughter is a little girl that never cried in preschool or kinder until she got a teacher that caused her a trauma on my daughter. She was mean to her. She talked to her different than other kids. Everything she did was wrong, to the point that my daughter became so afraid of her that she didn't want to go to school anymore. She was crying every day with a stomach ache. I had to give her Tylenol for a month. She was in depression. It's when I said no more. I went to the student support to ask for help. We didn't get any help. My family was devastated. We didn't know what to do or where to go. We prayed God, because I'm a woman of faith. I know Jesus is here with us. God is with us. And I didn't know what to do. People said, oh, take your daughter to a psychologist. Take her to a psychologist. I said, she doesn't need a psychologist. She just needs a good teacher, good people. So I say, we pray to God. God guide us to OPA. As soon as we opened that door, we felt like our prayers were answered. The staff was very nice. My daughter started as an independent study student. Then they moved her to regular classes, and thank God in her teachers and staff at OPA, my daughter, little by little, started to trust in teachers and school again. Now she's a happy girl again. Please, I beg you, with humble, help OPA to stay open. Touch your hearts, and don't let kids like my daughter deal with another school again. And thinking the families of the staff too, please. God bless OPA, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Margarita Cosio, followed by the final speaker, Kristen Crozy.
Good night. My name is Margarita Cosio. My son will attend third grade next year. Well, I wish I would be fluently in English like I'm in Spanish. And I just know you don't have closed captions. So I will try to do my best.
Hablan español.
We are one of those families that we do not exist at OPA. We are immigrants, we are English learners, and we never were asked for social or legal status to get in. We went through that lottery and we get in. I know he can achieve wherever he goes, but we get in and we taste the candy, we taste the magic to be in there. It's like, I cannot tell him, you won't have it anymore. He's asking, we have been under stress. It has been a big roller coaster all this time. I can say I'm tired of all this, but I'm still hoping for a miracle. I tried to do something fluently, and I just write, and now I don't know what else. I can say it will be something discrimination against someone, look at me and listen at me. I'm all that thing that we don't have there. So I'm just begging you to allow us being part of the community and show the community that we are not the arrogant people that many people in the community think, that we can work together. Please, keep us working. I used to tell, when he doesn't behave, I used to tell him, if you don't behave, you won't go to school tomorrow. And he does. So if he does that, it's because he's having something really great there. It's something great there. So please, don't take that away from him. And to be honest, this is my fight. Because since I came to this country, it's the only place I felt home again. In my country, I work in different government branches, and I saw all kind of bad, I don't want to say corruption, everything, bad corruption, bad system everywhere. I'm hoping this is really the country of the dreams. This is my dream. Don't think it away, please. We are open, and we are not tainted. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen Crozy.
Hi there. Good evening. Thank you for your time, President Orozco, members of the board, and Superintendent Joseph. These are my twin girls, Kendall and Ella. And they've been at OPA since the very first TK class, Mrs. Marenko's class. I'm sure some of the kids were in that class here, yeah. And they've been there for 5 years now, and they're going to be in the 4th grade next year. I'm a single mother, and it sure takes a village to raise kids, as everyone knows. And we all feel like OPA is that family, and it is definitely our village. Every time my daughters feel a bit sad or down by having to shuffle back and forth between 2 houses, all the teachers and the staff would give them extra hugs, and they could talk to our amazing Mrs. Crow, our counselor, anytime they needed to talk. That has been such a comfort to me to know that there are so many surrogate parents at OPA. They really are surrogate parents who truly love them and want to make them feel better when I can't be there all the time. The teachers are all so wonderful. I know you've heard this before. This is like repeating everything. But they really love their students, and we feel that love as parents. And we're encouraged, as some other people have said, to be involved. And even my parents, their grandparents, 75-year-olds, and I know most of you know them. They're in the campus a lot. It's so wonderful to watch them twirl the jump rope for the kids on the playground. And what a great experience for all the kids to have that grandparent there. And we're just, as OPA, it's such a family. They're encouraged, and they foster that open environment to really involve parents and grandparents in this wonderful education that the children are getting at OPA. I've heard many parents say that we all watch out for each other's kids, and people have said that, and it's so true. I mean, really, it's, as a working single mom, I know if I'm stuck in traffic, I know that never happens on the 91, but if I'm stuck in traffic, I can't get there on time to pick up my girls, I have no less than 3 parents texting me or calling me, hey, Kristen, I got your girls. Hey, it's cool. We're going to meet you here. And I'm like, yes. And I feel I really don't have to worry, truly. It really is that way, and I feel the same way with all the kids on the campus. And I know it sounds cliche to say that our school is a family, but it truly, really is. And I've never seen more pride and honor in young kids' lives than they have such pride in themselves and their school, and that's fostered at OPA, so fostered. And there's 3 rules that every student lives by and posted in every classroom. What are those 3 rules, every kid? Take care of yourself, take care of OPA, and take care of others. And those 3 rules are posted on every single classroom, and they really truly live that school spirit and that love. And please just hear our pleas again tonight after everybody's spoken, and I think I'm the end, and sorry to end on me, but we're willing to work with you. We come with such humble hearts, really humble hearts, as it says right up there, humility is part of the Chino Valley Unified, and we're that with you, with OPA, and we want to work with you.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay. I now reconvene to open session at 9:26. Okay, board members, there's going to be several items that we will be voting on. And so the first item regards student expulsion cases, which is 4C1. We needed to vote on them separately, so to clarify the record, we need to reconsider 4C1 student expulsion cases. May I have a motion to reconsider?
So moved.
Mr. Knopf makes a motion. May I have a second? Mrs. Fikes seconds. So all in favor of reconsidering the student expulsion cases 4C1, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes 4-1. Now, regarding each case, the first case regarding student expulsion case 1617-52. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Knopf makes a motion. May I have a
Second.
second? Mr. Cruz seconds. All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So the motion fails by 0-4. Now, regarding student expulsion case 16/17-53, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Knopf makes a motion. May I have a-
Second.
Mr. Cruz makes a second. All in favor? Aye. The motion passes by a vote of 4-0. Okay, so that concludes that particular item. Now, in closed session, there are two other items that we will be voting on. The first one is motion to direct counsel to defend the appeal. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Knopf makes a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cruz makes a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. The second motion, motion to direct district council to contact Oxford Council to explore the possibility of a timely resolution to the litigation. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Knopf makes the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Fikes seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0, and that concludes tonight's business. We adjourn at 9:28.